Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about Jaguar X-type rear brake pad replacement. I took it when checking my rear brakes for an MOT. I replace rear pads unscrewing one 13mm bolt only. That's why I believe it's the easiest and fastest way of changing the brake pads of a Jaguar X-type. I'll show you how I retract both the left and right pistons into the calipers. And in the very end of this video I'm gonna give you the most important life-saving tip. So let's begin. I put the jack under a specially marked spot of the door sill, shock the car wheel on the opposite side, break free the wheel nuts and raise the car. I unscrew the wheel retaining nuts and remove the wheel itself from its place. You know I prefer to be on the safe side, that's why I always put the removed wheel under the car, under the rear arm in this case. After that I compressed the handbrake lever with a screwdriver and detached the handbrake cable. I pulled out the outer cable retaining clip and started removing the bolt of the upper guide pin. I inserted a 19mm open-end wrench into the notches of the guide pin to counter-hold it and unscrewed the bolt with a 13mm socket. This allowed me to draw the caliper aside without removing it, and I went on changing the brake pads. Before pushing the brake piston into the caliper, I opened the brake fluid reservoir and checked the brake fluid level. There should be enough space in the reservoir for the brake fluid coming up from the caliper as I pushed the piston in. If the reservoir was stopped previously to compensate for the worn rotors or brake pads, the extra fluid should be removed with a syringe. After checking the brake fluid level, I got a 12mm hex wrench and started rotating the piston and pushing it into the caliper body at the same time. The piston should be rotated clockwise for the right-hand side of the car and counterclockwise for the left-hand side caliper. After the piston is pushed in, there will be enough space for the caliper to slide along the guide pins and to insert new thicker brake pads into their place. The most important thing here is to remember align the hole in the piston head with the pin on the caliper body side. This allows me to correctly fit the brake piston on the brake pad pin. Here I removed, checked and installed the brake pads to where they belong. I'm sorry to say I was a one-man band when taking this video. My photographer was away on business, so I haven't taken a detailed picture of removing and installing the brake pad themselves. After the brake pads were installed, I tightened the guide pin retaining bolt with a 13mm socket. Secured the outer handbrake cable with a clip, pulled back the handbrake lever with a screwdriver and attached the end of a handbrake cable to the lever. I draw the wheel from under the car, install it into place and lightly tighten the nuts. I lower the car on the ground, remove the jack from under the door sill and tighten the wheel nuts completely. Now it's high time to check the brake fluid level. Press down on the brake pedal several times to bring the brake pads in contact with the rotor. It's the matter of utmost importance not to omit this step and do it now. There may be no time to bring the brake pads into the working position when driving the car, and the consequences may be very serious. And the last but not the least step is to top up the reservoir with fresh brake fluid. Close the cap and enjoy driving your Jag.